Today is the day.
Butcher chickens!
I don't know if we're gonna be that excited about it, but we are harvesting our meat chickens today, and it is definitely going to be an adventure. How do you feel about this? Are you excited? Indifferent?
Indifferent.
This is no.
What do you have?
What? This is the turtle. Jeffrey.
So you're catching me on a completely different day. So I did want to kind of finish this out and really just talk about our chicken raising experience. So it is, I'm probably getting eaten by bugs out here. It is late evening. It is about 8 o'clock. It's a summer evening. The evening sun is absolutely gorgeous. So I don't know why I've kind of put this off for a little while. As soon as we got done processing the chickens, I had a couple of days, and then I had like 2 days later, I had to get ready to go out of town. So I don't know, I think I'm not really a super insightful person. I don't know, like I feel like maybe there's like expectations of like what I should say about it just because of what I see others saying about it. And I don't know, I'm just a very, very matter-of-fact, kind of a little bit more black and white person. And so I just really just kind of wanted to go over and say, like, now that I'm, a couple weeks out from doing it, I'm so glad I did it, to be honest. I mean, that day, the butchering day was really long. It was a lot of work. We had a ton of help. We could not have done it without the help of friends and others. There's a person I met through our local Wild and Free group who does homesteading, Julia. They do sell their pastured pork and pasture-raised chickens here in central Oklahoma, and she was just a major help as far as, bringing equipment, and we learned from them a couple weeks before I did my own. But overall, I absolutely want to do it again. I think it's so important for people to be connected to their food more than they are now. I definitely think as a whole, our society is way too disconnected from our food. If you looked 150, 200 years ago, everybody, to eat and to live, everybody raised animals. Everybody grew their own food. Everybody had the knowledge to do these types of things. And I just think it's really, really sad where we've gotten to in society that we are so disconnected, where you're finding kids, I've talked to like teenagers, and I'm not even lying when I say this, who literally didn't know that like ice cream was made of milk that came from a cow. That milk comes from a cow, and that's what makes ice cream. Or they didn't know that, just like how certain things grow and where your food comes from. And I think that has created the society in which we're just intaking all of this horrible processed food in the way. Let's be honest, like I'm not a proponent of conventionally raised meat. Conventional farming is destroying, not only destroying our topsoil, it's destroying our bodies. And to be honest, I'm just going to come out and say that the way animals are being raised today is not at all how we should be raising animals. It's not what we should be eating. The only reason that food and meat is so cheap in the grocery store, like some people balk at the prices of grass-fed beef for a pastured chicken, but they don't realize that the meat at the store should never be that cheap. The only reason it is because the food, the corn that's being, monocropping. Monocropping is a big deal. The food for these animals, which shouldn't be what these animals are eating, is subsidized by the government. That's the only reason that meat from the store is so quote unquote cheap. And so that's why it's so hard for people to even stand behind what a lot of farmers are doing in regenerative agriculture. So I wanted to be more connected with my food. I wanted to have the knowledge of being able to raise an animal that will then nourish our bodies. The day was perfect. I didn't get it on camera. I wanted to. I just, in the moment, I didn't even think about turning my camera on. But we did say a prayer as a group before we started. We thanked God for the nourishment that these animals were to provide, and thanking Him for them, and praying for safety. And it was a really beautiful experience. We're insanely blessed to be able to have an opportunity to have the space to do this. I will tell you right now, if you're ever thought about doing anything like this and you think, I don't have enough space, I know people who are farming and homesteading on an acre or less. Like, you don't have to have a massive pasture to do meat chickens well. It was a really, really great experience, and I definitely will do it again. We ended up, and I'll try to show up a picture, we ended up with 154 pounds of meat. We had an average of 5.13 pounds per chicken. Our biggest was 6 pounds, 8 ounces. And we did split that with some friends. We split the cost of the whole process. We did have them on our land, but we had some help, and we did it with some friends who were not able to where they currently live. And so that was 77 pounds each for 2 families. So we each got 15 chickens. We got, 15 chickens each in only 12 weeks. And that's food for families. And it was hard, by the end. Me and my daughter did a ton of the work, most of the work. By the end of it, we were moving our chicken tractor 3 times a day, so they could constantly be on fresh grass. And so getting up and doing that very first thing in the morning, it did get kind of hard. And by the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this process to be done. But in hindsight, 12 weeks is really short, and it flew by. And all that to say, it just really was absolutely worth it. And I'm glad you're coming along on the journey with me, and I'm really glad you're here, that you guys can see this process. This is not something I grew up doing. My mom kind of grew up on a farm. My grandmother, I've heard her talk about, going and grabbing a chicken from outside and then having it for dinner that night. But it's not something it's not something I ever thought I would do. So yeah, it was a really cool experience. I'm so grateful for the friends and the connections I've made through doing these types of things. Find people who helped and lent us equipment. I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, I want to share my experience, and I guess over a week, a week and a half, I just didn't really, 2 weeks even, has it been 2 weeks? I couldn't even think of really what to say about it, other than I loved it and I want to do it again. It was hard and it was work, but not that much, not as much as you would think for getting 77 pounds of meat in my freezer. So we got 15 each, like I said, and I think next time I want to do maybe 25 just for my whole family to last until we can do it again. It was a really, really cool experience, and hopefully I can share more of doing those types of things. So thanks for coming along, even if it's something that you're a little squeamish about or it's hard to talk about. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you learned something. I hope this was valuable to you. I hope I encourage anybody, even just one person, watches this and thinks, you know what, I can raise my own meat chickens, then I feel like this is completely worth doing. But thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.